Welcome to This Week in the World of Wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Monday Night Raw review. And how great was this show tonight, particularly the main event. Absolutely exceptional. A great post-SummerSlam Raw. Ashton, what'd you think of it?
I'm going to be doing a lot of random quantifying of things via ranking out of 1 through 10 in this episode. And while I would say last week's Raw was like a 3 out of 10, this was more like an 8 out of 10. Very satisfied with this week's Raw.
Yeah, I think you actually hit the nail on the head. For me personally, I would have given it the exact same grade if I was put to measure it. So with that said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And I really tried thinking this Raw over, and I gotta say, I have no heat to the night tonight. So what about you, Ashton?
I do have one heat of the night, but it's not really anything new for me.
Okay, so let's go over it.
Just me having said that, John, see if you can guess what my heat of the night is.
Oh, okay, we're going to be here for like 15 minutes if I do that.
No, just remember that it's something that I've had multiple heats of the night about before.
Repetitiveness?
No, JBL's commentary.
See, that was going to be my second guess.
Well,
okay, so
I should have let you guess then. But yeah, he didn't actually talk about any matches while they were happening at all. He was spending the entire night either talking about previous matches, just cracking jokes at Lawler and or Cole, or talking about how much he hates Jack Swagger now because Jack Swagger lost the flag match.
Yeah, I noticed one particular point of annoyance for you while we were watching this together was when Paige and Natalya was in progress, and then rather than giving those two women the due respect of calling their match up, JBL was rehashing the latest development in the Brie Bella, Stephanie McMahon, and now Nikki Bella storyline. When that had happened several segments prior already, and you felt like, it was done, it was over with, at least as far as commentary was concerned. So, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I think to be a great heel commentator, you just have to look no further than how Jerry Lawler himself acted in the early to mid-2000s when he worked closely with Jim Ross. You stay on the task at hand, but you do it in a very heelish way. Like, I can't believe I'm bringing this storyline up because we always talk about how bad it was. But some of his heel commentary for Kane and Triple H, the old Katie Vick storyline, he always stayed on point, saying, well, could you blame Triple H? Would you want to get in the ring with the murderer? Oh, and Kane is just a French fried free and stuff like that. Never really deterred. So you can be a great heel commentator and stay relevant, to what's going on. JBL, I think, is just trying to juggle one or the other, and he just keeps misfiring all the way through. So.
Yeah. JBL was very, very, very bad tonight, just from a pure, are you actually contributing to what's going on in the ring standpoint, because he just plain on didn't.
As much as I would love to see William Regal like in that play-by-play role, because he does such great stories and stuff, and he's just such a great analyst in that respect, I think even Regal is a heel commentator too, because if anybody knows what it's like to be a villain, it's a guy like William Regal. So I think even he would be like a major step up to JBL's heel commentary at the moment. I just think we need to shift the teams up a little bit, just generally speaking.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all I have a heat of the night about, though. It was a very, very good Raw. I honestly, here's my thing. I kind of wish that the WWE, since they were giving us the WWE Network and the app for only $9.99, I kind of wish they gave us a mute button, but only for specific commentators, and I would probably mute both Lawler and JBL and just listen to Cole, who actually tends to call the matches most of the time these days.
Yeah, I have to give Cole credit for that. Even going back to that Paige Natalya matchup when JBL was going on about his stuff, like Cole was, calling the pinfalls and everything else in that match. So he did tend to keep focus. And he's just so sucked in that he almost has to respond to the noise around him.
And even then, a lot of the time, it's, would you shut up, JBL?
Exactly. You gotta wonder if it's ever legitimate annoyance going on behind there, because I know
I honestly, with Lawler, I wouldn't be surprised if it was, because he's one of those guys where he just doesn't care. He's gonna do his job, but if the WWE would try and screw him over on something, he would just leave. He doesn't care anymore.
He's kind of like that, at least that you see parodied on TV and stuff, those teachers who reach the point of tenure. Like, well, I can't do any wrong now. My job's secure, so you all do whatever. And, Lawler just kind of strikes me as that type. But anyway, Yeah, we all know that commentary needs a major overhaul. It's been a bigger talking point for me and Ashton in the past. You can go back to past episodes and listen to those, but that's, I think, all that needs to be said for now. So with that said, let us get right into our Monday Night Raw review. And we open things up with some yes!
No, we didn't. We opened up with Steph!
Oh, yes, we did, and it was glorious. Yeah, it was Daniel Bryan's music that played, which got a nice pop from the crowd. But then Stephanie comes out, and even I have to admit, like, I know she's supposed to be the billionaire baroness, this evil, villainess that I'm supposed to be rallying against. But she looked absolutely adorable in that Steph shirt. I was like, yeah, Stephanie, you're awesome.
Yeah, she was looking good, and the great thing is she showed up later in like a fancy cocktail dress, so she's also apparently a quick change artist too.
Yeah, really. So she's doing the yes pose all around the ring, like Daniel Bryan would do, interacting with the WWE Universe. Then she gets in the ring, gets on the mic, and pretty much talks up the Authority's dominance last night at SummerSlam, between Brock Lesnar destroying John Cena, Seth Rollins overcoming Dean Ambrose, just everything. But of course, the most important thing that happened, her victory over Brie Bella.
My favorite is how she didn't even acknowledge that Roman Reigns fought Randy Orton.
Yeah, you know what, Ashton? I think this will be a talking point for us later in the night, but I do want to just touch on real quick, like, from that promo and from some things commentary said, you have to wonder if there's going to be more of an on-screen development with Orton and the Authority. Maybe he'll be in the proverbial doghouse for us to see actually play out on TV. I'm curious about that, but that'll come later.
I think it would be better if they would put him in the literal doghouse.
Yeah, and then you never know. You never know, because again, some things happen later in the night that I'll be interested to talk to you about concerning Randy Orton. But yeah, Stephanie continues to gloat, but of course she says she can't take all the credit, though I'm sure she would love to. She gives, of course, some credit to Triple H for, being her rock and staying by her side and always being faithful. Unlike Daniel Bryan, so even though they're not coming out and naming Megan Miller, there are still some remnants of that disgusting development still permeating the TV waves. So, she, rails against Daniel Bryan that way. And then she says, but she also wants to, thank Nikki Bella, and she says, now you're going to hear from her, the person who knows Brie best, and just how selfish Brie is, which is why Bryan cheated on her in the first place. So really doing a number on Brie's character here, an outright assassination. And then out comes Nikki Bella.
Yeah. Nikki Bella does her best, I guess, impression of an actual actress. And she cuts a promo here talking about how Brie was selfish. And to me, the funniest thing was that she acted like she was super angry at Brie for trying to be competitive and trying to be better than Nikki. Which, I mean, to me, if you aren't, then why are you in this business in the first place?
Right. I just felt like her points against Brie.
And besides, if you want to call somebody out within the Bella Twins for trying to stand out and trying to outdo the other, why don't you look at Tits McGee over here?
Whoa. Well, that aside, I do think that the problem with Nikki's promo, for me, was just the matter that really nothing she said, in my opinion, was relevant to any of the events that transpired. Like, I felt like her promo would have been perfect for me if she had said, I thought about what Stephanie said when I was facing 5-on-1 odds and X amount of, against these odds every week. And then, I came to the conclusion that she's right. Brie abandoned me when I needed her most, staring down these handicap matches and these humiliating challenges every week, and she wasn't there because she was too busy with her husband and her perfect life, or something like that. I just felt like Nikki, to me, and maybe I'm just the sole opinion on this, I felt like she was kind of all over the place. I didn't like that. It didn't really seem like it had a coherent point from A to B, when it seemed pretty simple to deliver this kind of promo. So
it feels like she was trying to mix WWE and Total Divas kayfabe layers together.
And we've talked about this. We have talked about those universes coming together and how more often than not it just comes off is awkward and just doesn't really seem to work. And I do agree with you. I got that vibe as well. In fact, I even joked with you when she was talking against Daniel Bryan and saying, oh, well, my sister Bree, she married a scraggly goat face. And Daniel Bryan, I'm like, well, your boyfriend, who's John Cena, who's supposed to be this white knight, had you on Total Divas sign a cohabitation agreement. Like, I don't think you're faring too well for yourself either. But then you have Bree come out after Nikki, just goes, I'm free. It feels so good to be free. Bree's so selfish. I'm no longer by her side. A weight's been lifted. Well, Bree comes out and then she says, why are you saying all these hurtful things? What are you doing? I'm your sister. I'll love you for life, but you've destroyed our family. How could you do this? If it was just last night, I could have forgiven you, Nikki. And then Nikki said, forgive me. And then she just slaps the taste out of her mouth.
John, I love that you somehow managed to, in your account of promos, in your recollection of promos, you actually make them better than they actually were. I wish that Brie had said what you just said that she said, but she didn't. She made it make way less sense. She talked about how somehow Nikki has ruined the family, or she wrecked the family, and she said something about how you said, I'll love you forever, but she said, or I'll love you for life. But no, she said, we are sisters for life, as if that's her saying that they're best friends for life, when in actuality they are actual blood sisters, and saying that they're going to be that for life is the most redundant and obvious thing that could have possibly been said here.
Well, I stand corrected. She said sisters for life. And I guess, I don't know, I would assume that somebody would say that to another person when you are sisters, so that was my mistake. But regardless, Nikki does
dude,
say,
that's my thing, though. I wish she said what you said she said.
Right. So my apologies on that. But Nikki does say, though, and I'm pretty certain about this, I hope, otherwise my memory's really going, and that's a whole nother litany of concerns, that I will never forgive you. And Brie
and then Brie was like, or no, that was after she slapped Brie, though.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
slaps Brie, and then Brie has that reaction.
Because Nikki had like the whole forgive me, and then Brie was just like, I just don't, and then she get the smack, and it was like, that smack was brutal too, man.
Yeah, that was probably the best part of this whole thing. That and Stephanie's reaction, because she was just reveling in it.
It was almost as good as when Orton was reacting to her with interacting with Batista.
Yeah, I remember that too. Oh, Randy.
Randy Orton might be my favorite corpser in the WWE.
Absolutely. So you have Brie leave the ring in tears, crying up the ramp. At first, and maybe this is just the storyline reeling me in. In fact, I'm certain it is. I was like, oh, come on, Brie, you're just going to leave like that. You're not even going to try and tackle your sister and just snap. But you know what? I think they're doing that traditional slow build to it. I wouldn't be surprised even if as early as next week you have Brie, tackle Nikki and start laying in those right hands. I just wish the mic work was just a little bit better. I'm not asking for much from these two, but I just really want to feel the depth of Brie's agony and her hurt from this betrayal. So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, not too bad. I mean, compared to what they tried to do last week, again, with the whole Megan Miller thing, that was just atrocious. So this was certainly passable. I'm just looking for these women to step up their efforts just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, just to clarify on the whole Tits McGee comment earlier, all I was trying to say was that Nikki is mad at Brie for being competitive, and then Nikki completely ruins Twin Magic by getting the implants. I don't know. It's just, that rubs me the wrong way with Nikki calling Brie out for being too competitive and trying to be better than Nikki, and then Nikki does that. It's like, really, Brie, or really, Nikki? Like, you're not trying to outdo your sister in any way? Really? Look down a couple inches? Really?
I just feel like that line of reasoning would have made so much more sense if maybe Brie was in this feud while she was Divas champion or something.
But that's the thing, dude. And again, your idea is so much better than what they actually went with. She should have made it seem like she was bitter towards Brie for quitting on her, and that Stephanie's reasoning about how all of the crap that she was doing to Nikki was really Brie's fault in the first place.
Exactly. And you know what? That's the way they presented it to us, at least if you heard Stephanie talk. And that's why I was just a little bit perplexed, to be honest, when you have Nikki on the microphone for the first time since her betrayal, And that's her reasoning. It's like it was just kind of laid out before you, Nikki, and all you had to do was really take it, and yet you go a completely alternative route.
And the hilarious thing is, dude, it was one of those things where, like, Nikki was talking and she was saying different reasons why she did it, and then she would stop and she would just look, like, really super happy, and then she would look over at Steph and Steph would be like, okay, keep talking, you're not done yet, and then Nikki would be like, oh crap, what was my next line?
Yeah, I mean, and see, that's another thing. I think Nikki needs to work on her presence in this role, because I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit bigger. I don't know if she has a formal affiliation with the Authority now, but, I mean, she certainly has a beef with Brie, and that's big enough, I think, by WWE standards, considering the association these two have had. They've even won, again, the Divas Championship together, done all this stuff. They practically are total divas, I think, if you would ask WWE. So, Nikki, and I'm not trying to be mean here, that we joke around a lot, but I never really try and be mean to any performer. But she did look like a deer in the headlights to me at some points during this promo.
Yeah.
And she needs to work on that. So.
Yeah, I would say the only thing good that I would have to say about Nikki in this promo is that she still outacted her sister, because Brie is just as, and there's a deep irony here regarding Nikki's chest, but Brie is so plastic and fake and just so flat and reserved, and it's just so obvious that she's just rehearsing or repeating lines from a script. It's just awful, man. Nikki, now granted, Nikki isn't significantly better, but at least she has some emotion behind what she says. At least she puts some fire into it and tries to make it seem like she actually feels the way that she's saying she feels. Whereas with Brie, she's just so cringy, man.
Yeah, you really are at least like the last two big things, one being the contract signing, and now here, just really haven't been big on Brie's mic work. I'm not as critical. I can see where you're coming from. I'm looking for both ladies to step up their efforts, for sure.
I think the worst thing about all of it is that, like, you know how I told you earlier how I was going to be doing a lot of quantifying with 1 through 10 lists?
Right.
Brie is like a 3 out of 10 on the acting scale. Nikki is like a 4 or a 5, and then they're in the ring with Steph, who's like an 8 or a 9. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
yeah, Stephanie's fantastic.
It's just such an obvious discretion or a distance between the two. Disparity, yeah. Like the difference is so clear. And here's my thing: Stephanie isn't that amazing of an actor, because it's still, like, during some of her lines, they're very clearly rehearsed and delivered. But at the same time, at least she tries to make it seem like it's her saying the words rather than a writing team. Like, you can tell that she's really putting effort into the delivery rather than just reading what she's supposed to say.
Right, she's imposing upon it a sense of authenticity.
Yeah, like,
I think
none of the women here can hold a candle to guys like Paul Heyman, CM Punk, Roddy Piper, Dean Ambrose. But at least Stephanie makes it seem like they're actually her words that she's throwing out there.
I think Stephanie's been fantastic. Everybody, and I'm talking both her co-workers, people actually in the business and fans alike, really seem to have been fans of her work, and for good reason, because she's trying. You can see a genuine effort on her part to make these things work. Whenever she has to receive a comeuppance from somebody, she puts her back into it, no question. And I think she'll do it again here for when Brie finally does get her comeuppance on the both of them. And yeah, I think she's been the whole reason why any of this has not only been able to work, but really just been able to stay together. And now if she's going to be, like, far away from this, and it is just going to be Brie and Nikki, that is concerning to me. I'm not going to say it's going to flop, because I think if TWitWoW has taught me anything, it's that you really do wait and see how everything plays out till the very end. But I don't have the highest confidence. Yes.
I just realized something.
Yeah.
You know what I could see this eventually leading to?
What?
Nikki Bella and Stephanie McMahon versus Brie Bella and Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania.
That would be awesome, but from what I've read about Dana White, either she would have to be done her UFC obligations, or they would have to come to some kind of deal. I think he's fiercely protective of his talents, especially Rousey. I mean, she is a moneymaker for them.
Well, obviously she would be on the winning team in that case. Jeez.
Right, well, yeah, but, I mean, at the same time, dude, like, I don't think he really gives two craps about that. I think you'd really have to strike some kind of a deal. I'd love it, though. I'd love it. But Dana White,
I don't know. It's just a hunch that I have. Because, I mean, if you think about it, Brie needs a partner now. She doesn't have her sister to go to, and it's 2-on-1. So who else is going to stand up for her unless she goes outside of the company?
Yeah, I wish it would be someone like AJ, because we did want that AJ Stephanie interaction, but that makes no sense considering AJ's extensive beef with the Total Divas.
Right.
I mean, you would really have to convince me at that point, if you were to go that route, that these two were cool and they were standing on legitimate middle ground to work together. So I think Rousey, again, I love your idea. Absolutely love it. I just think it takes a lot of strings to pull. But if anybody can do it, it's
Vince.
McMahon. Yep. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
And I just can't think of any, like, the thing that really horrifies me is that they'll go the Eva Marie route, but I don't think that they will, because Eva Marie was one of the people lining up to beat Brie up when she came back.
Right. Yeah, it won't be Eva. I don't even really know where Eva's going at this point, because, again, we have the concerns, like, is she even going to get, like, a squash Divas Championship match? Like, where does she go from here with what she's been doing lately? I do think Rousey is the best choice. We'll see where they go with it. But you've definitely given me more interest in this potential program than these two by themselves in their first real effort tonight. So we'll see.